You have everything you thought you wanted, the job, the money, the status, but something is missing. You feel empty, hollow, like you're living someone else's life. And the worst part? You can't even explain why. You should be happy, but you're not. The reason isn't complicated. You've lost your anchor. Let me tell you about Thomas. He's 35 years old. He's a successful architect. He designs beautiful buildings that people admire. He makes good money. He has a nice house, a nice car, and a respectable position at a prestigious firm. By every external measure, Thomas has made it. He's achieved what most people dream of. But Thomas is miserable. He wakes up in the morning and feels a heaviness in his chest. He goes to work and goes through the motions. He comes home and feels empty. He looks at his life and thinks, is this it? Is this all there is? Thomas has a problem that most successful people never talk about. He's lost his anchor, and because he's lost his anchor, he's lost himself. Thomas wasn't always like this. 20 years ago, when he was just starting out, he was different. He was passionate. He was excited about architecture. He would spend hours sketching buildings, imagining spaces, dreaming about the impact his designs could have on people's lives. But somewhere along the way, things changed. First, it was about getting the job. He had to prove himself. He had to work harder than everyone else. He had to sacrifice his passion for the sake of climbing the ladder. Then, it was about the money. He had student loans to pay off. He had a family to support. He needed to earn more, so he took projects he didn't care about. He designed buildings he didn't believe in. He compromised his vision for a paycheck. Then, it was about status. He wanted to be recognized. He wanted people to know his name. He wanted to be the best, so he chased awards, accolades, and the approval of his peers. And somewhere in all of this, chasing money, chasing status, chasing approval, Thomas forgot something important. He forgot why he started. He forgot the young man who fell in love with architecture because he wanted to create spaces that made people feel something. He forgot his passion. He forgot the purpose. He forgot his anchor. Now, at 35, Thomas is successful by every external measure. But internally, he's drowning. He's going through the motions. He's living a life that looks good on the outside, but feels empty on the inside. And he's not alone. Millions of people are in the same situation. They've achieved success, but they've lost their way. They've lost their anchor. One day, Thomas is sitting in his office. He's just won a major award. His firm is celebrating. His colleagues are congratulating him. Everyone is telling him how amazing he is. And Thomas feels nothing. He sits at his desk and stares at the award. It's beautiful. It's prestigious. It's everything he thought he wanted. But it means nothing to him. That night, Thomas goes home. He pours himself a drink and sits in the dark. He thinks about his life. He thinks about the choices he's made. He thinks about all the projects he's worked on, all the buildings he's designed. And he realizes something that terrifies him. He can't remember the last time he designed something because he wanted to. He can't remember the last time he felt excited about a project. He can't remember the last time he felt like an architect. He feels like a businessman wearing an architect's name. Thomas pulls out some old sketchbooks from college. He looks at his early designs. They're rough. They're not technically perfect, but they have something. They have passion. They have purpose. They have souls. Thomas looks at his recent work. It's technically perfect. It's impressive. It's award-winning, but it's empty. And Thomas breaks down. He cries, not because he's sad about his success, but because he's grieving the loss of his passion. He's grieving the loss of the person he used to be. That night, Thomas makes a decision. He can't keep living like this. Something has to change. But he doesn't know what. He doesn't know how. He doesn't even know where to start. The next morning, Thomas is walking through the city. He's not really paying attention to where he's going. He's just walking. thinking, lost in his own mind. He passes by a small coffee shop. Something makes him stop. He doesn't usually go to coffee shops. He usually gets coffee at his office or at a fancy cafe near his firm. But something pulls him into this small, quiet coffee shop. Inside, he sees an older woman sitting by the window. She's sketching something in a notebook. Thomas recognizes her immediately. It's Professor Elena. She was his architecture professor in college. She taught him in his first year. She was the one who inspired him to become an architect in the first place. Thomas hasn't seen her in over 20 years. He approaches her carefully. "Professor Elena?" She looks up. For a moment, she doesn't recognize him. Then her face lights up. "Thomas, is that you? My God, how long has it been?" They sit down together. They talk about the years that have passed. Elena asks him about his career. Thomas tells her about his success, the awards, the prestigious firm, the respect of his peers. Elena listens carefully. When Thomas finishes, she says something that stops him cold. "But are you happy?" Thomas doesn't answer immediately. He can't lie to Elena. She can see through him. "No," he finally says. "I'm not happy. I feel lost." Elena nods slowly. "I know. I can see it in your eyes. You've lost your anchor." Thomas looks confused. "My anchor?" "Yes," says Elena. "Come with me. I want to show you something." Elena takes Thomas to her studio. It's a small space filled with sketches, models, and half-finished projects. It's beautiful and chaotic and alive. "Thomas," she says, "do you know what an anchor is?" "It's something that holds a ship in place," Thomas says. "Yes," says Elena. "But in life, an anchor is different. An anchor is the reason you started. It's the purpose that keeps you grounded. It's the thing that reminds you why you do what you do." Elena shows Thomas her sketches. They're not perfect. They're not award-winning. But they're alive. They have passion. "When I was your age," Elena continues, "I was like you. I was chasing success. I was chasing money and status and approval, and I lost myself. I forgot why I fell in love with architecture in the first place." "What changed?" asks Thomas. "I remembered my anchor," says Elena. "I remembered that I became an architect because I wanted to create spaces that inspire people. I wanted to design buildings that make people feel something. That was my anchor. That was my reason." Elena points to her work. "These projects don't make me rich. They don't make me famous, but they make me feel alive, because I'm doing them for the right reason. I'm doing them because of my anchor." "But how do I find my anchor?" asks Thomas. "How do I remember why I started?" Elena smiles. "You already know. You just have to be honest with yourself. Think back to when you first fell in love with architecture. What was it about? What made your heart sing? That's your anchor." Thomas thinks back. He remembers. He was in high school. He visited a building designed by a famous architect. It was beautiful. It was inspiring. It made him feel something he'd never felt before. He thought, "I want to create spaces like this. I want to make people feel the way this building made me feel." That was his anchor. That was his reason. But somewhere along the way, he'd forgotten. He'd gotten caught up in the pursuit of success and lost sight of the reason he was pursuing it in the first place. Elena and Thomas sit together for hours. She explains something that changes how Thomas sees everything. "Thomas," she says, "success without purpose is empty. You can have all the money in the world, all the status, all the recognition. But if you're not doing it for the right reason, it means nothing." "But how do I know what the right reason is?" asks Thomas. "Your anchor tells you," says Elena. "Your anchor is the voice inside you that says, 'This matters. This is worth doing.' When you're working on something that aligns with your anchor, you feel alive. You feel purpose. you feel the meaning. And when you're not, asks Thomas. When you're not, you feel empty. You feel like you're going through the motions. You feel like you're living someone else's life. Thomas realizes she's describing exactly how he's been feeling. The problem, Elena continues, is that most people lose their anchor. They start with a why, but they get distracted by the how. They focus on how to make money, how to get status, how to impress people, and they forget the reason. So what do I do? Asks Thomas. You go back to your anchor, says Elena. You remember why you started, and then you make a choice. You choose to align your life with your anchor, even if it means making less money, even if it means having less status, even if it means disappointing people who expect you to keep climbing the ladder. Elena leans forward. Because here's the truth, Thomas. A successful life that's empty is not a successful life. A life aligned with your anchor, even if it's less impressive on the surface, is a life worth living. Thomas leaves Elena's studio with a clarity he hasn't felt in years. He knows what he has to do. It takes him 3 months to make the change. 3 months of thinking, planning, and gathering courage. First, he talks to his boss. He tells him that he wants to shift his focus. He wants to work on projects that align with his vision. He wants to design buildings that inspire people, not just buildings that win awards or make money. His boss is confused. Thomas, you're one of our best architects. You're on track to become a partner. Why would you want to change? Because I'm not happy, Thomas says, and I realize that I don't want to spend the rest of my life doing work that doesn't matter to me. His boss doesn't understand, but he respects Thomas enough to let him transition to a different role. Thomas takes a pay cut. He loses some status, but he gains something more valuable. He gains his passion back. Thomas starts taking on projects that align with his anchor. He designs a community center for an underserved neighborhood. He works with a non-profit to create affordable housing that's beautiful and inspiring. He mentors young architects who are just starting out, helping them remember their anchors before they lose them. His work doesn't win major awards anymore, but something else happens. People start reaching out to him. They tell him that his buildings changed their lives. They tell him that his designs made them feel something. They tell him that his work matters. And Thomas feels alive again. 6 months into his transformation, Thomas is sitting in a cafe. He's sketching something new. A young woman approaches him. She's a student. She tells him that she saw one of his buildings and it inspired her to become an architect. Thomas feels tears in his eyes. This is why he started. This is his anchor. He thinks back to the young man he used to be, the one who fell in love with architecture because he wanted to inspire people. That young man is still inside him. And now, at 35, Thomas is finally living a life that honors that young man's dream. He's not as rich as he was before. He's not as famous. He doesn't have as much status. But he's happy. He's alive. He's home. Here's what Thomas learned. And here's what you need to know. Your anchor is not your job. It's not your salary. It's not your title or your status or your possessions. Your anchor is the reason you started. It's the thing that made you fall in love with what you do. It's the purpose that's deeper than money or status or approval. And if you've lost your anchor, you're lost. You can be successful by every external measure, but you'll feel empty inside. But here's the good news. Your anchor is still there. You haven't lost it. You've just forgotten it. And you can remember it. All you have to do is go back. Go back to the moment when you first fell in love with what you do. Remember why you started. Remember what made your heart sing. Remember the purpose that was bigger than yourself. And then, make a choice. Choose to align your life with your anchor, even if it means making less money. Even if it means having less status. Even if it means disappointing people who expect you to keep climbing. Because a life aligned with your anchor, even if it's less impressive on the surface, is a life worth living. A life without your anchor, no matter how successful it looks, is a life of quiet desperation. So find your anchor, remember your why, and then live accordingly. That's when you stop being lost. That's when you come home. If this story resonated with you, if you've been feeling lost despite your success, if you've forgotten your anchor, then it's time to remember. Please, like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe for more stories about finding purpose, living authentically, and remembering why you started. Thank you for reading. Now go find your anchor. The world needs your purpose, not just your success. See you next video.